Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello everyone, my name is Professor Gaurav Bhomik. I am from the Agriculture and Food Engineering Department of IIT Kharagpur. So, welcome to the Advanced Aquaculture Engineering, Advanced Aquaculture Technology course for the lecture 3 of module 4. In this lecture also I will be continuing the introduction to the stream culture lecture only. So, where I will be covering the introduction to the stocking density during the stream farming, the nutrient requirement, the how to harvest the stream, what are the advantages of several important commercial stream species culture, what are the problems which are associated with this culture and how to kind of troubleshoot them. Okay. So, when we discuss about the stocking of stream culture, especially the seed selection and all, in general size of around say like seeds of around 15 to 20 post larva are recommended. Okay. So, we recommended for stocking in a pond, though it based upon the type of culture definitely, right. Remember we discussed in the last lecture what type of culture that we are doing, culturing system. It is a extensive, semi-intensive or intensive. Even in intensive there are like open culture, there are like recirculatory and so on so forth, minimum waste utilization and minimum water utilization, etc. So, based on the type of culturing systems, this stocking density actually it varies. Okay. So, in general the 15 to 20 post larvae are recommended for stocking in a pond, and with this post larvae are indicated by the presence of 4 to 6 spine in their rostrum. In case of healthy post larva, it should have a muscle to gut ratio of around 4:1 in the 6th abdominal segment, and the thickness of the gut should be almost similar to the thickness of the muscle. Okay. So, then only it will be considered as a proper it reaches the post larval situation, post larval condition. Technically, seed from first and the second spawning of a broodstock having uniform size can be used. In terms of morphology, the post larva should possess a normal trunk, rostrum and the appendages. Abdominal muscle should be clear and no body part should have any kind of discoloration or erosion or any disorientation. Okay. The gut must be full of food, and the carapace should be filled with the muscle. Okay. The color in general, if it is a light gray, black or brown or dark brown colored, it has a high survival or the growth rate, but in case of red or pink coloration, it indicates that it is under the stress condition. Okay. So, when we talk about its behavior, in general the healthy seeds can swim straight and it rapidly respond to the external stimuli like a tap on the side of the basin or any kind of external stimuli, like if you stuck them, they will just they will sense and they will get back to the change their direction. When healthy, the seeds can actively swim against the current. If you make a kind of whirling motion, if you make a steering in this water, so it can directly swim against the current and cling to the side, so to not to blow away, like when would be doing swirling or manually or in a natural situation. External fouling, seeds should not be contaminated with external parasites, bacteria or any other fouling organisms. It has to be pathogen free. Any case of viral occlusion bodies should be checked in the seeds, and large number of occlusions in the seed indicates a stress situation. So, you have to worry about these factors as well when we will be choosing a particular seeds for your system. In general, the nutrient requirement for stream culture, it depends on the size. If you see this particular table, when it reaches around 0.5 gram up to 0.5 gram, when it is like the size of around 0.0 like 0 to 0.5, when there is no 0 like from its birth to the 0.5, it has to it has a requirement of around 45% of protein, 7.5% of fat, no more than 4% fiber, no more than 15% ash content, no more than 12% moisture, and like minimum 1.5% is the phosphorus content. Again, the calcium content has to also be limited to 2.3%. Okay, this percentages are almost equal other than the amount of protein and fat that requires. So, in case of the along with the when it keep on increasing the size, the stream size, the protein requirements is goes little bit down, and as well as the fat requirement, but others can be as it is. Okay. Harvesting of stream. So, how you want to harvest the stream? So, now you are providing the feed, now you are culturing your species in a particular very proper way, everything is done. Now your culture species has reached to its maturation stage. When it comes to its maturation stage, now you have to harvest it, right? So, harvesting should not damage or contaminate the stream with waste, that is the very important. Okay, and rapid harvesting, sometimes it is helpful, okay, because rapid harvesting, if you do, it reduces the any chances of bacterial contamination in your stock. Also, harvesting is done in general the two ways. First, by draining the pond, followed by collecting the stream using a bag net. So, suppose you just kind of get rid of one side of the dike and open the sluice gate, and it goes to the drainage canal, the water is going to the drainage canal, you put a bag net there. So, what will happen? All the streams can easily be collected. That is the easiest way, okay, one of the easiest way. The pond should be designed to complete the draining within 4 to 5 hours, and the flow has to be designed in that way also. The best time for this kind of harvesting is early morning, and the collection of stream must be the collected stream must be removed at regular intervals, so to prevent any kind of damage to their body. Another method is by netting the stream from the pond. In general, we do it for the extensive systems, because in extensive systems we do not want to collect all the culture species at the same go, right. So, in that kind of cases, so it is better to provide them with the large seine net or the small electric net also to collect the streams from the pond. In case of in case of this netting, the water level of the pond needs to be reduced to at least 0.5 to 0.75 meter deep. Less advantageous method as chances of, there is a problem with this, because it is a less advantageous method as a chance of contamination is very high. This method takes a long time to complete also. So, that is why it is better to go for the method by when we use the completely open the drainage canals, open the sluice gate to pass the water through the drainage canal, and if we put the bag net on it. Okay. After harvesting either of these methods, the remaining stream are hand picked after draining the pond, and if it is like extensive culture systems, we do not do it at all. Okay. The harvested stream can be quickly killed by dipping them into the iced water. We call it temperature shock. That is the most that's the most famous way of doing that. So, to remain its taste and its order as it is, and to prolong the also to prolong the storage and to prevent any kind of damage of this culture species. What are the advantages of the Peneus monodon culture? It can attain a very large size. So, the stream can weigh up to 75 to 145 gram per piece, and they are the fastest growing streams among all the tested streams for the culture. In around 5 to 6 months, the juveniles of around 3 centimeter in length can be grown up to 75 to 100 gram in ponds within 5 to 6 months. So, that is the reason why it is a it's favorable for farm practices in Indian coastal regions, and there is a chances of growing it further. There is chances of further extension of this kind of market in Indian scenario, because of considering the amount of large coastal region that we have in India. They can tolerate a wide range of salinity, 0.2 to 70 ppt. Salinity in ranges from 10 to 25 ppt has no substantial effect on growth when sufficient food is available. At very low salinity, the growth is reported to be slower. As I remember, I told you, like the salinity is a very important factor. Though it can tolerate, but it does not make their life easier. When the salinity level is less than 10 or more than 25, their growth can be affected. Okay. So, they can tolerate temperature of around up to 37.5 degrees Celsius and as low as 12 degrees Celsius. It grows rapidly when when it is fed with animal or the vegetable proteins and all, and favorable food conversion ratios are seen in this kind of species, and they are quite tough and do not get mushy when due to the handling issues and all. So, second type of species is the advantages of Penaeus indicus culture is like they can grow fairly large size, also brings a decent price also for their farmers, or for culturing the farm owners. Young ones are fairly fast growing in nature when cultured in tanks at a density of around 15 per square meter, and they can reach up to 14 grams within 16 weeks. Okay. When grown in polyculture along with milkfish in earthen ponds, the male streams can grow around 12 gram while the females can grow up to 28 gram in 160 days. So, almost twice as the size of the male. They have a very high survival rate up to the first 3 months of growth, and it can reach to a size of around 10 centimeter, and relatively easy maturation of females in captivity can be witnessed. Relatively easy procurement of gravid females is possible in case of Penaeus indicus from the wild, because in numbers, because of sufficient enough to operate in hatchery. Because of that, they make the harvesting easy, as they can move out of a pond along with the water discharge. It requires a very low amount of food, surprisingly, and also only around 40% of the protein that requires than the other species, demonstrating good growth in the much better growth in the intensive culture. However, they relatively have a very thin exoskeleton, providing greater edible portions of the meat to the total weight than any other kind of shrimp species. So, what is the third one? Let us discuss about the advantages of Penaeus venami culture. Why I am discussing about all these specific species? Because these are the species that we normally in Indian context we culture, and there is a possibility of culturing this kind of species because of the enough actual, like how to say, just perfect environmental condition prevailing in the Indian scenario. So, and also they can give you very high economic return if you can culture it properly scientifically. What are the advantages of this venami culture? So, they can grow as fast as monodon, Penaeus monodon, but weighing up around 20 gram in intensive culture, and with a very high stocking density can be prevailed. In pond culture, you can go up to 150 per square meter. In case of recirculating tank culture, it can go up to 400 per square meter. Can you imagine? Like it's a huge amount, okay, but it is doable, and because of that, it gives you a very high economic return and very, but well, definitely with the proper design. And also, it can tolerate a very wide range of salinity, as low as 0.5 ppt to 45 ppt. Okay, but again, the proper salinity range, if you can provide, it will grow faster. Okay, so it will not be in stress condition. Though it will not get killed, or it will not be like it will not get killed, at least when the salinity level goes below up because of certain reason, or it goes up because of certain situation or certain reason. In general, they are tolerant to low temperature up to 15 degrees Celsius, thus can be farmed in the cold season, and also is type of species that we can think about growing in the temperate regions in like European and North American context as well. It requires a very low animal protein feed, only 20 to 35% in comparison to the other Penaeus species, resulting in a lesser operational cost and also a better food conversion ratio, around 1.2. It has a very high meat yield as like the monodon, and disease free larva can be produced due to availability of specific pathogen free brood stock that is available with the experts and available with the collection different authorities in India. If you see the area and the production of Penaeus venami in India during the 2009 to 2015, it keeps on increasing. 2014-15 it drops a little bit, but at around like if you say in terms of area, it's almost 200,000 hectare of area is now well utilized in Indian context, and the production in tons is around, it goes up to 350,000 tons as of now in 2015. The production of the shrimps. This is a very standard estimation of shrimp cultivation per hectare with USD, and this conversion was used around 70 rupees, 1 USD to 70 rupees, 70 rupees, and the discussion is done with only for the Penaeus monodon and for the venami species. Okay. For the feed cost, seed, the medicine and fertilizer, energy, labor, these are the variable cost, and the fixed cost are the the total the depreciation on the fixed capital, the repairs on the maintenance, permanent labor, interest on the fixed capital. Considering all those parameters, we have in the research paper by Nisar et al. 2021. If you go, I'll show you the reference, so you can go ahead and study by yourself, and to get much detailed idea about how this cost estimation of a farming is done. Because of the time constraint, I cannot go in details about those things, but I'd really suggest you to go and study this paper, where you can get much more details about how to do this kind of calculations, and how to design a farm, and what are the cost estimations that involves with it. What are the problems associated with the shrimp culture? Definitely the first thing is the pollution. In the tropical climate, it takes around 3 to 6 months to raise the marketable size shrimps, resulting in a constant discharge of wastewater containing organic waste, antibiotic, chemicals that can pollute the nearby coastal estuaries and the groundwater. What we need to do to get rid of this kind of situations or the problems? Go ahead with the recirculating type of treatment units. So recirculating type of culture systems, what it does, it cleans the water which is for this during this 6 months of culture period, and provide it back to the to your farm. Though it is not possible all the time, and also it requires a huge amount of scientific involvement, experts involvement and all, but it believe me, it is very good for the ecosystem, the environment. It is good for your higher economic return as well. Okay. Salt from these stream farms and ponds can also seep into the agricultural land and into the groundwater, changing the hydrology of the wetland ecosystems completely. Sometimes what it happens, though I already mentioned you, it's better to have a proper, at least more than 90% of the clayey soil on the bottom of your farm, but still sometimes what happens, because of some cracks and the default features, the water can seep through, and it can go and you charge the groundwater. When it charges the groundwater, especially suppose there is a aquifer there, right? When it reaches the aquifer, where it contains the fresh water of with almost no salinity, but that saline water comes in contact with them, and it comes with different kind of other ions as well. So it kind of completely pollute that aquifer, and because of that, it somehow, suppose you are using that aquifer water for your irrigation purposes in nearby agricultural land, so definitely that you will not get it anymore. So that's the kind of environmental hazard that it can create. So don't worry about it. There are lot of troubleshooting measures that we can do, and we design we can design the dike in such a way, so we design the bottom in such a way. There are proper consolidation methods and technology which are already available, so to reduce this seepage loss, reduce this any kind of possibility of groundwater recharge by your farming water. And also the dike, also it can be, the embankment design is also standard enough now. If you design it properly, it will not let you seep the water through any to any direction. So these are available, the technologies are already available. What we need to do, we just need to go and read a little bit, and also consult with the experts and before designing your farms. Okay. The second thing is that is the disease outbreak. So the disease shrimps have the tendency to swim to the surface of the production pond, rather at the bottom, which might get consumed by the seagulls, and thus these seagulls then might subsequently excrete in a pond few miles away and spreading the infection. So it's kind of way of spreading diseases. So you understand, right? First, suppose you have a diseased shrimp, or which because they have a tendency, they cannot breathe properly, so they go and they have, because of the different irritation that they are feeling, they go up onto the on the surface of the pond, and when they go to the surface of the pond, all different type of predators, they capture them, right? They literally consume them. Once they consume them, then they go say miles and miles away, and then they excrete in a different pond. So what will happen? This is the way of spreading of infection from one pond to the one farming system to the other farms to the other farm. So this is how the disease outbreak is in generally it happens. Okay. Sudden shutting down of the stream farms due to the disease outbreak, it also not possible because of the socio-economical impact, like say like loss of employment, loss of high amount of economic like the loss of revenue and all. So that is also sometimes not possible, and even if you do so, it comes with a lot of consequences, right. In general, in Indian context, the almost around 80% of the farm species shrimps are reared from just two type of species, Penaeus venami and the Penaeus monodon. Okay. And these monocultures are extremely susceptible to infections and all. Okay. Shrimps can be affected by various infectious and non-infectious diseases. Infectious diseases like the white spot disease, which is most common. Okay. Other than that, they have this yellow head disease, infectious, hepatopancreatic and the lymphatic organ necrosis, etc. They can have the bacterial infections caused by this luminous vibriosis and etc. Fungal infestation, protozoan or the parasitic invasions like black gill disease, surface pollen disease, macrosporidiosis, etc. So if you want to know more about all these things, you can just simply Google it, and you will get a much better idea about what all are these diseases and what can be the troubleshooting measure that we should follow. We should follow in our system, in our farm, so to get rid of this kind of diseases or infection possible. Non-infectious diseases like soft shell syndrome, because some maybe because of the unavailability of specific type of elements, like that shell are made of normally calcium, magnesium compounds, and also there is a chance of decrement in these elements, and it can cause different kind of disease, different type of disease like soft shell syndrome and etc. Depletion of wild shrimp stock. The fish stocks generally used for feeding the shrimps have very high environmental value, as they lie near to the bottom of the marine food chain. Shrimp farmers sometimes capture these young wild shrimps for stocking their shrimp ponds, and thereby further depleting the local fish population. So that is the reason why this depletion of wild shrimp stocks are we experienced, or we kind of witnessed in all over the world right now. Several criteria for stocking. In conclusion, we can say that we discussed about several criteria for stocking during the shrimp farming. We discussed about the rapid harvesting, how it can reduce the risks of bacterial contamination, which is very important information for us. Advantages of farming some commercially important shrimp species has been discussed, and what are the advantages and what can be the possible outcome that we can get out of culturing this particular type of shrimp species. What are the problems that is associated with the shrimp culture, that also we discussed, and we also discussed about the troubleshooting measures, that what will be the troubleshooting measures that we need to follow in order to get rid of those problems. We know that the red, or what are the major takeaways from today's discussion, from this lecture, is first, like the red or the pink coloration of the post larva, it indicates the stress condition. So you need to think about you need to find out the reason. You need to think about what is the the cause behind it, what is, and how to, you have to think about the troubleshooting measure as soon as possible, otherwise it can cause drastic situation in your farm. It can be harvested either by draining the pond, followed by collecting the shrimps using a bag net, or by simply netting the shrimp from the pond itself. Okay, using the bag signs and the net signs and all. Penaeus monodon is the fastest growing shrimps among all tested shrimps for culture in Indian context. Then they can tolerate a wide range of salinity, whereas the Penaeus venami can tolerate to low temperature, very low temperature, and can be farmed in the cold season as well. Pollution, disease outbreak, depletion of wild stock are some of the problems associated with the shrimp culture, and which can be definitely troubleshooted very easily once we know the reason behind it, and once we can contact with the specific experts and who can give us an idea about like how to kind of solve this kind of situations. And the specific problems in terms of pollutions we already discussed. That's the very important solution for pollution outbreak is just go for the recirculating aquaculture systems. So you can, by this means, you can easily reduce the amount of wastewater inclusion in the surface water bodies. How we can get rid of the groundwater recharge by farming by your farm? Just simply put a proper consolidation measure for your the what is it called, those like the clay soil that you'll be using for your pond, or you can properly design your embankment or the dike in proper way so the water will not seep, and also from the other way, like from outside also water cannot enter to your pond. So to dilute your water or to infiltrate introduce the predatory species or unwanted infectious diseases or in altogether. Okay, so this is the problems that this is the troubleshooting measure that we can think of. Disease outbreak, definitely you can go ahead with the proper vaccination and proper culturing species and try to go ahead with the maintain the pond in proper way, like right from the beginning, the liming to the end, you can provide it with the proper type of proper chemicals, so to have to reduce the amount of bacterial load, harmful bacterial load from your system. Another important thing is the depletion of the wild stock and all these problems that we associated with the shrimp culture we already discussed. So these are the references, as I told you, like these are the references. You should really you can take a picture of it and then you can search it in the Google, and I would really appreciate if you go and study these papers or these informations given in this particular area, so it will enlarge your your idea or more the knowledge about this particular field. Okay, so that's it for today for this lecture. So we'll meet again for the next lecture. Thank you so much.